Hey everyone, before I reviewed this little utility knife here I got from AliExpress, it's very convenient. I use it quite a lot. I like this grip tape here. But I very often have to cut acrylic discs. I use them as stands for my little figures. And I have to constantly push stuff around in a cabinet, but I don't want the parts scratching themselves, so that's why I put them on stands bigger than the actual object. So I thought I'd try a new one because I want to try out this kind of utility blade, which is meant, I guess, to cut acrylic, because that's what I've been using it for. So let's take a look at this thing. You can see, size-wise, it is actually smaller. This one I would say is probably more ergonomic because it's got like a little finger recess. But the actual activating slide, push slide kind of thing, it's not really a button, right? Because you push it forward and back. Seems to be the same, so that's good. Good grip, that is. They're both, well, this is a very wide belt clip, so I think this would be more comfortable or more secure for sure on a belt. Although I gotta say, this one is higher and longer, so it probably has more flex. That's an extremely strong belt clip, by the way. Whereas this one, it's gonna squish your belt. If you like your belt, you're gonna have an indentation in there because it doesn't factor in a lot of it. So maybe this is actually worse. And that's also a very strong clip. You can remove it though, either of these, with a hex a hex driver. All right, you can see this funky pattern looks racy or alien-esque, whereas this one's pretty plain. Eventually, let's see, factoring in the actual mechanism, this thing is around 42 millimeters. Overall length when it's closed, it's like 85-ish millimeters. And thickness without the clip, let's measure it here, it's like 11.5, 12 millimeters. With the clip though, you're talking like 16 and a half. All right, don't need to measure it open because you're never gonna store it that way, right? Or I wouldn't do so. Okay, so you can fit in those blades. And yeah, this comes with some SK5 blades. By the way, this box is pretty nice. It's not too wasteful, but it's nice enough that I think you could give this thing away as a gift. Which I've actually bought this for someone as a gift. Nice foam, dense foam. Not sure if that's expensive foam. It's not necessary. I'm gonna guess there's at least 5 blades in there, possibly 10. But I already have a knife for that. So the question is, can I fit one of these things in here? And I'm pretty sure I can. This is a new blade. It's just it's the oil that's all coagulated. You can see there's a little bump there. Maybe that helps keep the blade in. So there's a channel there you got to get into. I'm going to push that little thing out a little bit. It's really hard to do through a camera. Hold on, I'm going to try to do this without looking at the camera, so it might lose focus. There we go. Alright, so wiggle that in. And then you have to push this thing, because this thing wants to rest in this cavity here. And that's what keeps the blade from falling out when you drag it. I think it was in there. Yeah, okay, so that is in there. And it seems to work fine. So, let me now switch subjects and talk about cutting acrylic. For the past 20, 30 years, I've been using a blade like this. This is a Tamiya one, but there are cheap versions out there. And it's got this V-shaped double-sided edge, which I obviously can't seem to focus on. But I find that hand sharpening that double-sided is kind of difficult. So I kind of thought I'd try, this one. So this is a standard Irwin grip, of course, and you can keep extra blades inside. It's very comfortable to hold, being so fat and ergonomic. But what happens is the acrylic is pretty slick. So I find the best way to start the cut is actually to clamp a metal edge to it. So I got these clamps, and so I instinctively want to clamp the thing as close to this edge as possible, so when I drag this, it doesn't shift the ruler in one sort of direction. I've done it by hand, and the thing just, the ruler always shifts because the blade is pushing it. So this is a more secure method. But you can see here, because it is so fat, very often this angle wants to be shallow. If it's like this, the point will not dig into the acrylic. Hopefully that makes sense. Right? If it's like this, the point's not touching the acrylic, so you have to have it at a shallow angle to score it and dig into it. But this fatness very often collides with the clamp, so let me focus here and try to start an edge. See? It's colliding here. So the solution is still doable. It's just I have to clamp it further away. And you can see this, and now that you saw it bend the acrylic a little bit, there might be a little air gap there. I just feel like the metal ruler might shift easier if it's not closest to where I'm touching. So now I can lightly score this. And you got to do several passes. You might want to also go the other way. Anyways, you guys just do that a bunch of times. You don't have to go all the way through. This also works as well. So that's why you want to have this metal edge, because if you don't, the thing's going to jump out of the thing and you're just going to scratch your acrylic and waste it. Okay, so it is still workable. But my theory is, because this thing is so thin, look, right? I'm thinking, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking I can get that ruler really close to the edge. So let me resituate this. Alright, so hopefully you can see how close those clamps are to this edge. So I have a hard time thinking that's ever going to shift. So as you can see, it's very thin and it's not colliding with those yellow rubber things. Oh, wait, that's a problem. I wonder if that was really locked in. So let me reinstall that. The first one, I'll push it out. I think it was only in the first groove, but maybe if it's in the second groove. But now this thing, I don't know why it doesn't go in further. Is it because this, yeah, it's definitely not touching the second groove. I wonder if there's something colliding with the edge back here. No. No. Yeah, that's weird. Let me take a look at this. Is this longer? No, it's not longer than that blade, so I don't know why that's going on. On this one, you can see the lock, I believe, is in the second one. Oh, it's not. I never paid attention to that. So unfortunately, the locks on these things only engage the closest tab. So this might not be a good idea for cutting acrylic, because you clearly saw it jump out. All right, so I think this tooth here isn't deep enough. You know what I'm gonna try? I'm gonna just switch the blade to the green one, and maybe this being a different design has a bigger tooth, and let's see if it jumps out of this one. Oh, look at that. No, that doesn't even grab it. Can't be this. So that's a problem. At least for trying to use this type of blade. It just doesn't have enough depth in there, I guess, to actually engage this slot on the blade itself. Yeah, look at that. This is actually worse than the black one. I wish I could see, how deep. Oh boy, I see. I thought this may have been bent inwards to engage it, but I think it's just a flat piece. You see, hopefully. I don't see any sort of bend in the end of this thing. So I think what's supposed to happen is the blade is literally supposed to rest in the channel, and this thing is supposed to rest in that same channel, but it doesn't. You see, it's a little bit crooked. You see that little gap, so it's not really fully engaging the blade. So that's too bad. I think that could have been designed a little bit better if they just bent that tab in a little bit. Then it would engage more of this blade and keep it from pulling out, which, see, it did again. Alright, so that's a problem, because that also means this blade can fall out just as easily, and this one's straight up dangerous, right? I guess the issue with this is you're not dragging, you're cutting. It's such a sharp knife that, I don't know. Well, I suppose if you're cutting really thick material, it'd grab the sides so much that it might pull the blade out of this thing. So if I do this, it actually, this one seems a little better. I don't know. So little tolerances could be a fail or success of the blade, it seems. Alright, well, I guess I will not recommend this for cutting acrylic unless you modify it. You'd literally have to somehow dent that inwards, which I suppose I can do if you gap it out with a washer over here, and then you hammer that. It should theoretically go in. Let me come back. Alright, so here's a tiny washer that's apparently 0.4 millimeters in thickness. I think it's an M3 washer, stainless. So I didn't want to have too thick of one because I don't want to warp this thing. So I'm just going to jam this in here, but have it not behind that tab, but as close to that tab as possible, which might be around there maybe? You can actually probably see it from this side. Could be a little closer. So, alright, so I don't know if this is going to work, but I have these spring-loaded drill punches. This is a better one, by the way. This is cheap aluminum. This is some sort of brass one. And you see, this didn't actually spring, whereas this one, it will spring. It's meant to start holes for drilling. But I went and sanded this down so it doesn't put a dent in, it doesn't put a recess like this pointed one. So yeah, I just use a hand file, by the way. So now the theory is, if I do this, maybe it'll bend that inwards. I'm gonna back this whole thing on this piece of wood, and let's hope I don't destroy this thing. I'm gonna just put it here. I don't think it bent it. No. I think I need to have the washer actually more this way anyways. So hold on. I just realized, it can be actually right behind the tab I'm trying to bend. Like that. I suppose that could be in the right location. No, I think it's too close. Maybe something like that. Can we see it there? Well, it pushed the washer out. What I don't know, I think it did dent it a little bit. So I think I gotta repeat that process a few times. And so that part that locks it engages this slot should be better. Forget the washer. I'm just gonna use this knife itself. Since it has this thing, it's better than a washer, it's more flat. And so I'm pushing this out. You can see it's now behind there. I think I get it a little bit up, so it gives some room for that metal to go downwards. Let's now try this. I'll hold that thing as well. Let's see. I think it is bent inwards a little bit, maybe. Also, well, that's hard to say. This is still crooked outwards, which are what we're trying to avoid. This knife isn't expensive, so you can't expect it to be perfect. Okay, let's try cutting this acrylic again, and we'll see if it pops out or not. No, so I don't know. Seems like right now, no, it's not really meant to be dragging. It's just meant to be cutting, I suppose. Yeah, I've never had a problem, cutting boxes and stuff like that with this. It's probably because when you are cutting boxes, you're pushing the edge into this channel. So let me put this back. When you're cutting a box, you're pushing the knife back against there. But right now, what's going on is the knife is being pulled horizontally out, not being pushed back. That's why as a cutting instrument, I don't think this is an issue. It works perfectly fine because you're pushing. But as a dragging instrument, it's a no-go. Yeah, so if you can think of a better idea, please leave a comment. But I think you want to just stick to the actual knife blades on this one. Okay, well, the feel of it in my hand, it's definitely not as good as this one. I wear an extra large motorcycle glove, so you can see I can get 4 of my fingers on this, and it feels okay. But I usually just have 3 like this, because I have my thumb actuating this. But for some reason, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as comfortable. Yeah, even those chamfered edges, it doesn't feel as good to me. Something about this area is digging into my palm. Anyhow, yeah, if you like the styling of it and you're not going to cut a lot of boxes, I guess go for this. But if you're going for more comfort, I think you should try this design. This also has like a little lanyard hole. I don't know. I'm not going to use it, but it's nice to have, I guess. Oh, see, this is curved. I didn't even pay attention to this. That's why it doesn't dig into my palm, because it's curved. This is a 90-degree corner digging into my palm there, see? That's the reason why it doesn't feel right. Hopefully that helps you decide if you want to get something or not. I'll leave a link. Alright, we'll see you in the next video. Bye.